Then, uh, then I would like to greet everyone. Hello, everyone. My name is Shamatov. I work at Nazarbayev University, Graduate School of Education. Well, I have been working at Nazarbayev University since 2013 when we started our program, Graduate School of Education, Master's and PhD program. And we had been improving our programs all these years. Today, I will be presenting about Master's program, particularly in education leadership with a focus on school education. And I'm sure you will understand that we have different programs, master's program in higher education, in school education, inclusive education, and you met already one colleague who presented on inclusive education. Well, I think I will just bring my slides and go through my slides quickly so that I think we can have some discussion on certain things, and then of course I will be happy to respond to the questions. The topic that I chose for my presentation is really about leadership in education that brings change. Why leadership? Why change? I think most of you are from former Soviet Union, from Central Asia and other post-Soviet countries. And you know very well that I think after the breakup of Soviet Union for the last 20 years, there have been so many reforms. Unfortunately, not all of them have been successful. And also, unfortunately, there was not a lot of, I think, local capacity or reforms driven by the ideas that were shaped by the local experts, because of course, often there was lack of capacity, but also I think there was a lot of international agencies, experts who are helping to improve education system. But nevertheless, many reforms were not as successful as one would like to. Therefore, Nazarbayev University initiated and opened its program in Graduate School of Education with a focus of preparing future leaders of education who would contribute in educational reforms by empirical research and so on. So why leadership? Because as I said, so many reforms, but often we don't have enough evidence which reform has been successful or not. But also there is a need, we strongly feel that there is a need for empirical decision-making, or decision-making at the top level should be based on research. That was lacking behind. But also we don't have a lot of evidence for sustainable, effective changes. And also we would like to have more of a less dependence on outside expertise rather than to grow the local educational reformers. That was the idea why this school was built. Just metaphorically, I would like to show this picture. Well, in this picture, you can see that the mindset or framework that one can explain what is this leadership, what is this change agent that can bring new changes. For example, apparently many people were trying to build a bridge across the very big ocean or sea, but you see that it's almost impossible because the sea is so big. And then there is someone among the people who are building this bridge. They say, okay, maybe building a bridge is not a good idea. Let's go back and let's build the boat. That's what we need. We need people who think differently. We need people who can really initiate new changes, showing the right directions. That's the idea of the program. Well, let me give you a couple of examples of like leadership just borrowed from different authors. One of them is that leadership today is influence, not authority. The person who is authoritarian, who gets all the power, is not anymore leader. Leader is the person who can make influence and impact. Or Andrew Carnegie says that no man, it should be written as no man or woman, no human being will make a great leader if he wants to do everything himself and wants to get all the credit by doing it. And I think this is a mistake of many people who consider themselves leaders. They engage themselves in everything. They are everywhere. They want to do everything without trusting other people. But more importantly, they also want to get all the praise, all the credits, all the medals to themselves. That's what Andy Carnegie says, that no, that's not a good idea. Another idea, Sam Walton says that outstanding leaders go out of their way to boost the self-esteem of their personnel. If people believe in themselves, it's amazing what they can accomplish. It's basically trusting your employees. Well, our program, as I said, that we have been reflecting and changing and improving our program, master's program, education leadership. It has three main aims. One is leadership, because we want to promote in our graduates the skills of knowledge that they can lead educational change with an evidence-based decision making. The second area, our programs are very heavy on research. We want our students to be able to independently conduct a very good quality ethical research. Number three, also, we want to promote professionalism so that our students should be open-minded educators and citizens who can work collaboratively with each other and inclusively across the languages and cultures. Well, this is a long list of our program learning outcomes. I am not going to go through all of the learning outcomes, but good thing that these learning outcomes we didn't borrow from anywhere. Our faculty members, we all sat together and we developed these learning outcomes. Basically, we want our graduates to develop these competencies at the time of their graduation. Well, few ideas about our program. Dear colleagues, master's program in school education, it is not just, I think there are some misconceptions among people who don't know about our programs very well. When we talk about education leadership, many people think that this program is only for school principals. Well, while we have some school principals who were our students, or some of our students became school principals later on, this program is not about school principals. This program is about school education, all spheres of school education, how people from different backgrounds can improve school education. They can be people from ministry, they can be people from teacher training who focus on school education, or they can be people who just are the researchers or practitioners, teachers. But please, dear colleagues, I would like to mention that our program, of course, all our programs are very strong and they need very strong students' background. But among them, school education is one of the strongest because we need to have our applicants to have very strong background. They need to have X number of years working in the education system and if possible in school system. We do not want to get someone who just is working in an unrelated field because it will be difficult for them not to understand some concepts. But also, it's very unlikely that they are going to stay in the education. Therefore, we pay very much attention when we select people that they should have a background. Number two, also we need to have evidence. We try to get it during the interviews and also when we review your applications. We need to be convinced that the person is likely to stay in education, but more importantly, to bring some kind of change and improvement. But very important focus, probably other colleagues may have mentioned about it, all school education, but MSc school education, MSc higher education, MSc school education is a blended mode. Nowadays, all the universities are shifting to distance education, but Nazarbayev University's master's program, we had already been doing blended mode, which is kind of a mixture of face-to-face, like students come to Nazarbayev University 3-4 times a year, but they remain in their own workplaces. Без отрыва от производства. You can continue working in your own school, but you come to Nazarbayev University certain periods of time, more importantly during school break time, in October, in March, etc. But we want our students to develop very strong conceptual knowledge and research. Well, let me, dear colleagues, let me go through some of my slides to show you some flavor. I want to give you some flavor of what kind of courses do we have. I am not going to read all the courses, but I will show you only a few of our courses so that you can see what do we offer. Let me share it here. And I will try to explain what these courses are about. Okay, here you can see on my screen, this is the wrong one. Oh, this is the correct one. Here on my screen, you can see the slide with the different, our registrar, names of different courses. But let me go from very beginning. What do we normally start our program? At the beginning of our program, we want all our students to get familiar with the education system and the context, education context and reform, which is the courses offered by the people who are very familiar about the context. This is the course, education, if you can see on the screen, educational context and reform in Kazakhstan. But more and more increasingly, we have international students. So we want to develop it into more education context and reform, not in Kazakhstan, but beyond Kazakhstan, Central Asia and post-Soviet countries if possible. Then we have another course, which is very exciting course called Research Methods. We have two courses, Research Methods for master students. Research Method 1, Research Method 2. These two courses provide very good framework of all paradigms, research methods. So you become familiar with research methods. You learn how to develop research questions, how to do literature review, and then collect data, conduct ethical or get ethical approval, then analyze data and write up. Because we want our students to write very good quality thesis, but in order to write a thesis, students need to be familiar with the research methodology. But also we have this academic English and the academic English, because we want our students, because not all our students come very strong background academic English, they need to write academic papers. But also we have academic Kazakh or Kazakh for professional purposes. But if for international students, we hope that it will be optional course. But for Kazakhstani students, it's very important because we don't want our students to learn all English terminologies, not able to communicate with the local colleagues. That's the idea. And I think, let me go through a couple of electives courses. We have this course, interesting course called Education Leadership, because there's a lot of good theory on leadership. We want our students to know all this transmissional, transactional, transformational leadership, or distributional leadership, or non-positional leadership, because these are the latest series in the field of leadership. Well, other courses, electives, there are courses such as, like, for example, professional identity, assessment, curriculum. So I'm not going to go through all of them. Let me go back to my own slides. If anyone has got more questions later on, we will come back to it. Let me now, Aidana, could you tell me if I am back to my slides? Aidana? Can anyone see my slides back?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe it disappeared. Let me come back. These are my slides. Now let's go further, dear colleagues. Now just to give you some more idea about our programs, let me just not to praise our programs too much. I just give example of one of our graduates, Nurlan Imangaliyev, one of the very successful graduates of Nazarbayev University, Graduate School of Education. He wrote in his Facebook posting these ideas about what is the program about, few ideas that I want to show it here. I think some of you may not understand Russian. I will translate the main idea of it. Nurlan writes about this, okay, now he writes about pluses and minuses. The big plus of our programs is that the schedule is very convenient, especially for colleagues who do not want to leave their jobs. You can continue with your job, but you will come here only during break time. По-русски это звучит без отрыва от работы или без отрыва от производства. You continue working and studying, but also you come here only for a limited time. But also, I like what Nurlan said, the next idea. Вас сразу отучат мнить себя экспертами, трындеть об образовании направо и налево без разбора и основательных данных. It's about like, I think here, I don't know, I like it because he says that here you learn not to pretend that you are an expert and to give ideas on any side of education. You will try to argue based on the solid arguments. Number 3, in a very short time, you learn to analyze the literature, critically select and analyze literature and other forms of information. But also you develop your academic skills. But next, you also understand that how system of education works, including reforms. And they also think that you learn that all this happening in the education, including reforms, they are not so straightforward. You learn it from inside. He likes the Nazarbayev University, that he says that is absolutely fantastic. He also says that professors are good, which I again like it. But students have discounts. I think probably Aidana will help us. Students will Kazakhstani students, if they are enrolled in our program, they will be eligible for state grants. But you are a candidate from outside Kazakhstan, you will be able to compete for the place which the scholarship from the Nazarbayev University. Well, also, of course, you meet a lot of new friends, but minuses, of course, he thinks there are a lot of minuses. Of course, one of them is that he said that professors are really world-class, but on the other hand, he says that not all professors are world-class. So maybe I am one of them. Next one is that education is not as easy as it may seem, or some of you may have studied in another university which was relatively easy, but here education studying will not be easy. But the next point, although he thinks it's a minus, but I also see it's a positive in it. With all the knowledge you gain from Nazarbayev University Graduate School of Education, for you, it will be very difficult and boring to sit in the long and boring conferences. It will be so boring that you want to ask questions, you want to argue, but sometimes it will be difficult because here you learn many things that in some conferences you may get frustrated. Well, also there are some more tips from Nurlan. Our program is not about teacher education. Our students are not, of course, they can observe their teachers, they can learn about teaching methods, but we are not preparing teachers here. Neither we are teaching pedagogy or methodology. We are preparing here, we are focusing on the reforms and how prepare leaders who can do reforms. Yes, there is a scholarship, and of course, English medium of instruction is English, because I speak Russian and a couple of other colleagues speak Russian, but 85% of the colleagues are from Dальняя Зарубежье, or they are from far foreign countries. They cannot speak Russian, but also most of all our literature in English, so medium of instruction is English. Couple of universities, like, I don't know, it's Sulaiman Demirel University in Kazakhstan, or American University in Central Asia and Kyrgyzstan. If you graduate those universities, you can be admitted without IELTS test. Of course, there is no any opportunity for bribe here. That's maybe minus for someone, but big plus for many. But if you are from Kazakhstan, some people think that this Nazarbayev University and the Nazarbayev intellectual schools are the same organizations. Well, surprise, surprise, we are partners. These are sister organizations, but we are not the same. So Nazarbayev University's master's program is not exclusively for NIS teachers. Everyone else is invited and attracted or invited to apply. And particularly, we need a student diversity. I very happy to have more students from rural areas and regions of Kazakhstan and other countries, but also I would be very happy to see the student subject discipline diversity. More teachers, not only English language teachers, mathematics teachers, history teachers, biology teachers, because diversity is good because you learn from each other. Food, I think that's the idea of Nurlan. Well, I think everything. At the end, he says that Nurlan is writing that no one requested or paid him to write these things. So just for your information. This may be some theories. I don't want to go through a lot of theories, but one theory that I often use in my class is the Colin Lacer's conceptual framework. I just used it recently with my students. Well, we want our students, like Colin Lacer says that when a new person comes to a new organization, the person is likely to adopt one of the three social strategies. Social strategy is the blend of the thoughts and actions that the person will adopt in a particular situation. Internalized adjustment is passively fitting in, just become part of the system. Strategic compliance, when a person comes to an organization, but he may not like a lot of things, but he will be just following because he doesn't want to get into trouble. He just follows it strategically, follows what other people tell him to do. Finally, strategic redefinition, when a person comes and tries to improve this context very constructively by negotiations, etc. We want our students to apply really as much as possible the last of the social strategies, not to come to an organization and be like a conflict person, creating a lot of troubles for himself and for everyone. We want our students to really, we want our students to be able to initiate changes that is necessary for that organization. I think I already mentioned all of the things. Maybe story of the fish I will skip. Finally, I will just share with you a couple of slides. Very often in Central Asia or even beyond Central Asia, Michael Fullan, by the way, is a very well-known leading scholar of educational reform. He was the dean of the University of Toronto when I studied there. He wrote excellent books. One of the ideas he writes is that change is very complex. You need to really learn about how to bring changes, how to do reform. But one mistake sometimes people is that they look for the open-minded people. They only look for like-minded people. They make свою кучку. They make their own coalition, островок, and they only work with them. But they often stay away, avoid people who disagree with them. But Michael Fullan says that's a big mistake. You often learn from people who disagree with you than you do from people who agree with you. But you often under-listen to the former and over-listen to the latter. You associate with people who agree with you and avoid those with whom you disagree. Not a good learning strategy. Incidentally, this is the main reason why this strategy of going like-minded innovators is short-sighted. It's likely going to fail sooner or later, because sooner or later you are going to work with the people who you are trying to avoid them. One more idea from Elmore. He puts it like this way. Elmore says, small group of self-selected reformers apparently seldom influence their peers. They just create an even greater gap between themselves and others, which eventually becomes impossible to bridge. Таким образом, когда мы только работаем с людьми, которые нам удобно работать, тогда рано или поздно все равно у нас будет провал, потому что мы избегаем других людей. Мы с ними не работаем. Да? And finally, in other words, it's better to incorporate differences early in the process of change when there is a chance to address problems than to avoid conflict only to have to face it later when it's unresolvable. In complexity theory terms, if you avoid differences, you may enjoy early smoothness. Вначале все нормально будет, but you pay the price because you do not get at the really difficult issues until it's too late. And therefore, dear everyone, we would like our students to work with everyone, not only to work with the people with whom it's very easy, because then change is not possible. Change will be again failing sooner or later on. Dear everyone, I think I will stop here, and I'll be happy to respond if anyone has got any questions. Ask me in Russian, ask me in English, ask me in Kazakh. Kazakh is not that good, but I will try to respond either in Russian or in English. Thank you. Yes, Aidana, are we here yet? Is anyone listening?
I guess people are just preparing their questions. Please turn your mics, or if you're not comfortable with speaking up your questions, you can type the question in our chart below.
Yeah, either way is okay. Ask the questions about the program, about any questions about the course, about the graduation, so I think I'll be, whatever question I can respond, I'll be happy to respond. Someone asked, I think participants could turn off their cameras, otherwise it's very distracting. Okay, it's a good idea, I think.
Good day. Can I ask you a question?
No problem. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Jansea. I'm graduating the master's program in Almaty, but I am studying the political science, but my bachelor was 2 foreign languages.
Okay.
So I have a question. Can I apply my documents to get this master's programs in education if I have a grant at the national university? So is it possible?
That the grant, if you already got the national grant, Aidana may be able to respond. But regarding your background, I think you are welcome to apply. I think if you have already master's degree, you could even apply to our doctoral degree. If in our doctoral degree, you would not face any problems. But if you want to change from political science to education, I think then you need to write a strong rationale why you are changing. Otherwise, you will compete with a lot of people who are already who have education background. But I would also consider to think that if the school education that I'm talking is the best choice, or multilingual education is also a better choice, because multilingual is a full-time 2 years program, or higher education, master's program, higher education is not full-time, is a blended program. You look at our website and consider which one is the best one and write a very strong rationale. Because let me tell you, in our school education, we have a very strong competition. Last year, we had 125 applications for 25 places. So 5 people competed for 1 place. Therefore, prepare a very strong application. Someone asked a question here. Maybe I will read it. Максат Серик. Хочу подать на программу магистратуру, но не могу сдать IELTS из-за карантина. До какого я успею? Айдана, вы, наверное, ответите.
Мы уже ответили в чате, да. У нас дедлайн уже определен до 10 июня. Мы знаем, что British Council и другие центры, да, отменили за карантина сдачу теста сертификата IELTS, поэтому дедлайн продлен до 10 июня. Еще есть время.
Да-да. И, Максат, я рекомендую постоянно, когда вы пишете IELTS, там у вас есть дедлайн на сдачу теста, вы в то же время сообщите нашим коллегам, чтобы они были в курсе. Next question, or anyone
yes, we have one question from Fariza Satmagambetova. Thank you for your lecture. My name is Fariza. I'm from Kazakhstan. I have applied for GEC this year. What career will the graduates of your department have? Are there any examples of successful leaders who have implemented something new?
Yep, I think we are very proud. We have so many examples of the excellent graduates. I think some of them are extremely successful. We have a school director like Shakarim Seysembai, who is a school director in Astana doing remarkable work, and we can send information about him. We have Baknur. Baknur, he himself was not very comfortable that his English was not that strong. But after graduation, he is doing some remarkable work in Almaty and the surroundings of Almaty. I think he's helping a lot of young people to get highest quality of education. We have Renata Pergenova, I think. She established her own school, and she is also a board member of some education institutions. And one of our graduates, Anwar Jangozin, he was the Garano, he was the head of the city education department of Astana when it was Astana for several years, and he brought a lot of changes, and I like what he did. We have a lot of examples, but many of them are also doing many good things, but Aidana can tell more about successes of our graduates. And Fariza, if you get enrolled, graduate, you will have so many opportunities to be enrolled in so many places. Even, for example, in Kazakhstan, there is a legislation, newly adopted legislation. You can grow up to vice rector of the university. For example, vice rector of the university, if you have master's degree from Nazarbayev University, you can be a vice rector, not rector, but vice rector of any university in Kazakhstan. Okay?
There's another question. What is IELTS score requirement? So for master's degree, school education, we have requirement of IELTS in total 6.5, and within the subsections, no more than 6.0.
Yeah. And one more thing, if you are a very strong candidate, your application is so strong, but your IELTS is 6 and below 6, like 5.5, then you will not be enrolled in our master's program, but you will be recommended to our new ZIP program. New ZIP is it's a 9-month program, free of charge, but you will have to study here at Nazarbayev University, but very good quality education. If your English is not good, but you are a good candidate, we can select you, but no guarantee. Among them, we will select few students for the new ZIP program. Okay?
Can I ask a question?
Okay, we can take other questions in a minute, because we have a question from Aysara. She just asked it 3 minutes ago. So Aysara asks, good day, professor. Thanks a lot for your presentation. My question is, what are the biggest challenges across in the next 5 years in the higher or secondary education system?
Well, my prediction is that, I don't know, maybe my own passion is rural education. I think Kazakhstan, including Kazakhstan, but other Central Asian countries, because of the Soviet Union breakup, no, Soviet Union, it promoted all this egalitarianism, etc., etc. But after Soviet Union, we have all this, like a free market. For many years, even in Kazakhstan, people did not ask many questions about equity or improving of rural education was not a main agenda in many donor agencies or even local initiatives. But for the last 2-3 years, rural schools and the improvement of quality of rural schools is one of the biggest agenda. I think that's a very important area because when you have this big gap between quality of education of the top private schools, private universities, and other parts of the country, then I think the overall well-being and it is difficult to create a healthy, socially cohesive society. That will be one of the biggest things in the agenda for the next several years, I think. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And someone wanted to ask, yeah, please introduce
Yeah,
yourself.
Yes, my name is Nargis, and I'm really glad to see you again because I remember I visited your workshop when I was a teacher trainer in professional development program for school teachers.
Okay.
Yes, and the thing is that I've never worked at school. Yes, but I want to apply for this program and the school education. Do I have any chances?
If you are working at school, you have a lot of chances.
No, I've never worked at school, sorry.
But where did you work previously?
Educational center, yes,
Education
and I
center.
worked for EEC in Nazarbayev University and Astana University when we worked for PDP, Professional Development Program.
Okay, well, let me tell you like this. When we started our program 2013, we started very quickly. At that time, we enrolled a lot of people who were from translation background or from different backgrounds, student affairs, etc. At that time, because we needed to have people with an English background. But nowadays, we are trying to bring people who have good knowledge of education system, particularly in our program, school education system. Even if they didn't work in school, they need to know about school experience and they should have some affiliation with the school education system. For example, if you work with the school teachers, that's a bonus for you. You need to be able to write it in your application. But also, you need to convince the committee members that you are going to remain in education system, in school system, you are going to work in. For example, one applicant was from library, university library. She said that maybe in the future I can go to school to conduct some trainings. I said, no. If you're working at a university and you go to school to conduct trainings, you are not a good candidate. But in your case, you need to convince that, well, how your future will unfold and how you are going to work in the same system. You don't have to work in school, but in the system, school system, it can be like a Orleo, it can be ministry, but your research and work should be related to school education. Otherwise, you could choose higher education or inclusive education.
I see, thank you very much. Yes, thanks.
Thank you. Aidana?
Yeah, the next question.
It
was about age limit, but получается, я могу уехать в другую страну на стажировку и одновременно учиться на магистратуре в Назарбаев университете.
Это немножко трудный, щепетильный вопрос. Поступить, уехать в другую страну, наверное, мы запрещать не можем. Но когда при отборе мы будем учитывать то, что, например, у нас есть программа, например, стажировка, практика есть, здесь у нас есть это internship программа есть, в котором вы должны работать в какой-то организации, желательно в стране, где вы поступали. И потом, когда вы закончите, должна быть какая-то гарантия, что вы пользу принесете той системе. А если мы просто подготовим вас, чтобы вы уехали в Сингапур или Гонконг, наверное, у вас будет маловато шансов, извините. Age limit, Шолпан? Aidana, age limit, we do not have any age limit. I think it would be not fair to have age limit. И поэтому люди, которым 50 и выше, пожалуйста, подавайте документы, никто не будет запрещать. Но, конечно, если вам 70 и вы уже на пенсии, наверное, мы будем с вами, мы хотим с вами работать, но учиться вам немножко трудновато будет, наверное. Но вот люди как раз 50-55, пожалуйста, подавайте, не стесняйтесь. Айдана, я прав, да?
Да, все правильно. Next question. Thank you very much, Professor Duishon. It's interesting to listen to you as usual. Do you think that the way of accepting students to the teacher professions at universities should be changed?
Excellent question, Akarike. I always support the idea. Teaching, and that's one of the biggest topics that I include in my course, professional identity. Teaching profession in Central Asia, former Soviet Union, is really devalued. We need to really rethink about how we accept students to teaching profession. Aidana, can you ask someone to switch off the microphone?
Yeah, it was Jean Saya. Yes, Jean Saya, can you switch off your mic, please?
Yeah.
Okay.
Akarike's question, Akarike, that's a very important question, but I think it's no нужен должны мы делать комплексный подход. We need to really enroll the strongest candidates to teaching profession, but also we need to develop very creative ways of enrolling them. Nowadays in Kyrgyzstan there is national scholarship testing, in Kazakhstan unified national testing. Students who do not get the highest mark, they are applying and they become teachers. But if you enroll in our program, if you conduct research in this topic, I will be very happy to work with you as your supervisor. Okay, I get him. Huh?
So next question, I get him Jumakal. Hello, Professor. I'm a middle year program teacher at International School of Astana. I'm not enrolled into master's program, but can you supervise my research if I'm not a student of the program?
Well, that's a different question, and we can address it on a separate basis. I think basically we need to discuss it with our employers, our dean, and our faculty members do a lot of experience sharing. We share our experiences with other colleagues in Kazakhstan and other countries. That can be part of it, but fully supervise, I think it will take a lot of our time, because our workload is full, and we may not be able to supervise, but we may be able to mentor and to advise, but we can work out the logistics. Can you email me and we can talk about it, Aigerim? Yes, anyone from the audience here, ask also directly, because we would like to hear your voice and to see your faces as well.
Yeah, there is the next question from Gulnura. Thanks a lot for your presentation, Professor. I've got a question. What was the competition rate of enrollment to higher education program last year?
Gulnura, higher education program is very bad. Don't, I am joking. No, I think higher education is also quite a strong competition there. But I think they had, maybe Aidana can correct me, they had around four people for one place. Aidana, can you help me, please? Competition rate for higher education program, Aidana?
So I guess it was like 3 or 4 people in one place for higher education.
Yeah, and I think it's so popular because we have Kazakh Turkish schools graduates, we have also NIS school teachers, so we have big pool of people who really who are ready to study, and also Darren teachers, many teachers from private schools. So I think therefore we have a very strong pool of people who apply to MSc school education program. Inclusive education, Alima, I do not know exactly, but I think it's a bit lower, because inclusive education is such an excellent area, but it is not very widely clear topic in Central Asia, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan. Our colleagues are doing a great job, but I think they are trying to explain very clear things about inclusive education, that it's very different from special education that was from Soviet times, that effectology is not any more popular topic. But I think one of our colleagues will come later on next week, maybe you can ask them, but I don't want to be wrong just saying that inclusive education. I don't know that information. Okay, next one.
So,
we have a colleague here who wants to ask.
Competition rate for inclusive education is particularly the same as higher education. Last year it was 3 people for one place.
Okay, 3 people. 3 people is also good, because I think 2 other candidates are equally good. You need to really prepare a very strong application. Well, Gulnaz, I don't know, what does Gulnaz write?
Guljan Kusainova, there is a question. Thank you for the informative session. I'm in the process of applying to a PhD program. Do you teach for PhD students, and what are the main issues and challenges that happen in higher education?
Guljan, excellent question. Thank you very much. I teach the course that I developed with my colleague Daniel Torano, and we have taught it for about 3 years in a row. That course is educational research for doctoral students, introductory course. Every year we teach because our doctoral students also should be very well prepared to conduct research. And I like teaching doctoral students as well. Main issues and challenges in higher education, there are so many, but also do not run after hot topics. Когда все делают исследования по одному топику, просто не бегайте, потому что там это модно, популярно. But my students, I also supervise doctoral students. One of my supervisees is conducting research on educational research in Kazakhstani universities, how doctoral students in Kazakhstani universities are learning to conduct research. Another student of mine is looking at the university government and university government partnership, third entity, about patenting of research, how they patent about research. But also Bologna process, there is a lot of reform in Kazakhstan in higher education, including Bologna and etc. But there is not a lot of empirical research on what is happening in the classroom. Yes, Bologna is happening. Bologna's reform is taking place. How Bologna affected teaching and learning? I don't think we have a lot of strong research, neither in Kazakhstan nor in Kyrgyzstan. We need more research in this area as well. So there are so many topics, but you need to, and now, maybe Guljan, one question I think many people will be excited is the MOOC, massive open online resources. How universities are using this. Это не только во время карантина, вообще, как в постсоветском Казахстане дистанционное преподавание, what's the level of it, how it is going to improve, потому что сейчас сколько путаницы. There are so many confusions about distance learning. Maybe you can be expert in this area. Well, Aidana, ready for the next question?
Yes. In your opinions, what is the level of implementation of teacher status politics?
I think there is always a lot of politics, teacher status. I was part of the discussions of developing not teachers but educators, pedagogues, educators status. But sometimes it's politics, but also sometimes it's related to financial matters. But main things that I think I would like to look at it positively. Many people started looking at the teaching profession a little bit more seriously. That teachers should not be just sent массовку делать там или выполнять какие-то административные работы. For that, we teachers ourselves also, we need to do our job properly. We need to be very good professionals in order to raise our voices stronger. Okay, next one.
Okay, next question. Your new application requirements are so tough. How do you still manage to attract so many applicants and stay competitive? Do students come up with their own thesis topics, or you as a supervisor provide a list of topics?
Okay, let me answer the first question. I think the first question is so important that often, yes, we are quite competitive, and we are getting grant from the country. Country is government of Kazakhstan wants us to educate people in the master's program, and they provide scholarship. If they think that we are not doing a good job, they may stop giving the scholarships, but they continue giving scholarships, but they are giving even more scholarships. One of the biggest reasons is that I think our graduates are our ambassadors. They are working in different parts of Kazakhstan. Every time these days, maybe last year I was chair of the admissions committee for school education. This year I am not part of it. Last year, almost every candidate during the interview said, I was asking the question, why did you apply to our program? And they were saying, so-and-so is my colleague. He graduated from Nazarbayev University, and he praised Nazarbayev University, and he recommended me to apply here. So really, our students are our ambassadors. So therefore, I think probably, I would like to think that we are offering quality education. Therefore, our graduates are telling about it. The second question, Rahat, do students come up with their own thesis topics? Yes. We do not want to choose the topics for our students. No one is going to impose the topic. Students will attend research methods course, during which we discuss with them. Students also attend elective and core courses in the specialization, like school leadership, for example, during which they develop different ideas. We professors just can facilitate. At the end, we ask them to write a research proposal at the end of research methods course, during which they need to really come up with a research topic themselves by reading literature, by talking to their colleagues. And then we ask questions, but we direct them only. I think it will not be fair if we give them topics. Number one requirement, Rahat, topic should be exciting for our students. So our students should be passionate about their research. We don't want to give them our own topic and then make them our own slaves and have our publications. That's not a good idea. We want our students to conduct research that they enjoy. Okay? Any more questions from the audience who might be struggling to type? I can see someone is going to speak. I cannot see the name. Gulnar, I think, yeah, please.
Okay, thank you for your great presentation. And I have a question. I applied for the PhD program in Nazarbayev University School of Education. And my research field is that leadership influence for teacher job satisfaction in higher education context. And then I did a study in 2 universities in Kazakhstan, and I'm going to publish this article. And actually, just yesterday, I accepted one publication just from the online, and I'm going to add this for my application because, as you explained, that the competition in the PhD program is very high, like 4 or 3 students in one place. So how I'm going to add this one since I have my publication now?
Let me address this question, dear Gulnar. As your application have been reviewed, assessed, and already, taken into minutes, into PhD protocol minutes, so you may add it like additionally, sending it to GEC email. That's all you need to do. You don't need to attach it to your application at the admissions portal. This is some extra document. This is not a main required document for the application, but you are welcome to add it as an additional set.
So you mean if I added extra materials, that means they will consider about it? Is that in the competition part? I mean the election part?
It will be sent to the admission committee, but the admission committee already reviewed the first round of applications, and those decisions, it won't be changed because all the requirements and the rubrics according to each document have been selected, assessed, and it's not the thing to be changed. Am I right, Dushon? Those candidates who have been selected and now on the waiting list.
On the waiting, that may not be changed, but I don't know. I think time frame, doctoral program, if they are still waiting for the applications, if they are still reviewing, because they overall, when the program, every last applicant, when they finish reviewing last application, they will sit together and look at all the applications again. And then your publication, if it comes as an additional attachment, it can be bonus. So if they're looking at different candidates, and if you are one of the candidates they were doubting, they will say, oh, actually, this person has also published this article. It may work in your favor, but just send it. But I don't know my colleagues, whether they have already made a decision. I don't think they have completed the decision. If I were in your place, I would just send it, dear committee members, this is my applications, could you consider it also? Leave it up to them what they decide.
Okay, thank you very much.
And thank you, and I wish you good luck, but I might be wrong. In our school education, it was 5 people for one place, but PhD, they may, you might also, there might be even stronger competition, because PhD is one of our programs where many strong applicants come. So sometimes, unfortunately, I have to say this, I'm sorry to say this, sometimes we have to reject the person, not because that person is not strong, just because we have so many strong candidates. Therefore, I wish you good luck. I wish you good luck.
Thank you so much.
So there's another question from Alima.
read it here. Alima, should I send any additional documents to the if I am waiting list? Alima, is the same question. Maybe send it, although it's late, but maybe send it to the chair and let them decide what they think about. If I were you, I would do it. And just someone called Just Goha. Sorry that if I cannot pronounce your name properly. Just Goha says that I have some troubles with connection. I will ask all my questions for email. By email, yes, please, you are welcome. By email, we would be happy to respond. And because by email, we also get time to think and respond, and it will be more comprehensive response. Galaxy, oh, someone Galaxy is writing. Is it possible to apply for PhD if I have already received a doctoral degree in other Kazakhstan university? Alia writes. Aidana, please respond to this question, because this is quite, sometimes it may create some legislation part. Aidana?
Right. If you have already received a doctoral degree in Kazakhstani university, and as we know, all the doctoral degrees in Kazakhstan are for free, I mean on a state scholarship, the same applies to Nazarbayev University. So there is a law within the Ministry of Education that a scholarship will be given to the citizen of Kazakhstan only once for the same degree. So you cannot apply to our PhD program. But if you have already the doctoral degree, we have postdoc places, right? It's a job, but at the same time, you also will be doing research.
But wait, Aidana. But I think you may not be eligible for state grant, but there might be some other scholarships, isn't it so? Abay scholarship or other Altın Sarin scholarship, is there any way? Aidana.
Altın Sarin scholarship is for the international candidates, not the Kazakhstani citizens.
Okay, sorry about that. By the way, someone wrote us a comment. Should I email my question about research to GSE, that email address? That's Aygerim. Aygerim, you are welcome to respond, to write email to that email, but I also wrote my email address at the bottom of this chat box. If any of you have any question, please email to me and I will be happy to respond. Because I am a director of school education program, so I think it's very important that we need to have a very strong student intake. Well, I think everyone probably, we have exhausted all the questions and comments. Good. Well, I'm so glad that I think we have also colleagues who joined from Kyrgyzstan and from other countries. And Ekaterina, hello, thank you for your presentation. If I am in the waiting list, does it mean that I am not enrolled on the courses? No, Ekaterina, not yet. Students can be enrolled in the courses only after decisions are made. Waiting list, soon, I think Aidana will help us with the deadlines. Soon we are going to make our list of the recommended list for application, for enrollment, and those students will be sent messages that, okay, so and so you are selected to our program. Those students will respond to us that they accept the offer, and then they will become our students. But among them, 1 or 2 students, or maybe more, sometimes some students will reject the scholarship. They will say, oh, I applied, but now I am going to maybe America or Canada, sorry. And then we will need to fill those places. For example, if we had 25 places, 3 candidates rejected our offer, 3 people from waiting list immediately will become they will go to our recommended list. So then all the students, only when we make the final list, only then all the students will be enrolled. Right now, none of the students will be enrolled in any of the courses. We are still deciding. Ekaterina, I hope I was able to respond to your question. Okay? Anyone else? Well, I also say thank you to all of you for very active participation, for asking very good questions and for raising your points. Well, it was a pleasure. Unfortunately, with this technology, I am a teacher. I like to see your faces. I like to see your reactions. I I like to get energy from you when you understand, when you don't understand, I want to work with you. But with this technology, it's not possible. Maybe one of you or some of you will become our students, and I'll be happy to see you and say, hello, how are you? And we'll meet one class. We will meet with each other in the classroom. And for that, we need to overcome these difficult days, the virus that's happening. I just wish you, all of you, safety